Welcome, and thank you for joining the Department of Conservation's CalGEM Public Health Rulemaking. Before we begin, please ensure you have opened the WebEx participant and chat panels by using the associated icons located at the bottom of your screen. If you require technical assistance, please send a chat message to the event producer. With that, I'll turn the conference over to Sarah Rubin, Outreach and Engagement Coordinator.
Hi. Thanks, Candace. Do you want to do one more announcement about audio? I'm already seeing some messages that people are viewing on the computer but not necessarily hearing you. So I don't know if that's actually just something you do in the chat box.
Yes, I'll respond in chat.
Fantastic. All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sarah Rubin. I am the Department of Conservation's Outreach and Engagement Coordinator. I'm a mediator and facilitator, and it's really been my pleasure to be involved with this CalGEM Early Input Public Health Engagement effort. As many of you maybe know who are joining us, maybe, and I'm sure others do not, we had started a series of 10 in-person meetings for our CalGEM Public Health Rulemaking Engagement effort. And unfortunately, after the first 4, we all got the stay-at-home order. And so what we've done is we've moved our effort to be digital. And so here, and I'll go into it more in a minute, you can see that we have a variety of ways for you to provide your input to us. Our deadline for comment on the public health rulemaking early input is June 10th, so that's next week. So if we haven't heard from you yet, we're very eager to hear from you today, and or you are welcome to email us. We've got an instant poll open today, and you could check that out simultaneously while we're meeting. And we also have an email that is just for this process, and that's calgemregulations@conservation.ca.gov, and of course, the post office. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the way our public input is going, and let's see here. Candace, I'm going to rely on you. You can just even jump in and interrupt me if you want when Supervisor Untitled is ready to give his opening remarks. We are triaging a little bit here, participants, because with everything going on, I know that Supervisor Untitled was called away just a little bit ago to respond to some urgent matters. Oh, great. Perfect. Okay, well, let me turn it over to you, and then I will go over the public comment. Welcome. So, Uduak, I'll let you introduce yourself. We're so glad you're here.
Thanks, Sarah. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Uduak Joe-Intuk. I am the State Oil and Gas Supervisor over CalGEM, the California Geological Energy Management Division. And I want to just welcome everyone to our third virtual workshop. As Sarah was mentioning earlier, we did have 10 in-person statewide workshops planned. Unfortunately, the coronavirus pandemic inhibited our ability to meet in person, but we did not want to stop the process or change our deadline or timeline, and so we pivoted to do 3 online sessions. And so we had one on May 20th in English, we had one on May 28th that was fully in Spanish, and then today is our third virtual workshop that we have a couple of hours together. I know we gave a little bit of background, but, this is a high-level priority, arguably the first time in California that we're doing an explicit oil and gas health rulemaking process. And so we have come at this with a new approach to be as inclusive, as modern, open-minded, and seeking public input. It's very rare to have this level of engagement at the state level in direct policy making. And so taking a different approach here, we wanted to, outreach in multiple languages, and we did have sessions in Santa Barbara County and Arvin and Bakersfield, and we're not able to do the other in-person ones, but our goal was to hear from directly people in different geographic areas of the state on their perspective on both problems and solutions. What ideas do you have to improve public health? What solutions should we consider in this rule? And we've really taken effort to be transparent. Our notes and summaries from each meeting have been put online. Our polling and surveying is on our public health webpage for all to view. And as we move forward, we continue to put all our documentation and information online to make sure that it's available for all to see and participate. So we really tried to be as inclusive as possible. So this effort came out of the governor's announcement last November of statewide oil and gas initiatives, really taking a modern approach. We did have new leadership in CalGEM, formerly Dogger, last fall. We also got a new name and mission change. So we mentioned CalGEM and not Dogger any longer, but we modified our mission to explicitly add in public health, protecting public health, life, safety, and property, and to be focused on climate change and meeting the state's clean energy goals. Really, for our organization, this has moved us from being on the sideline of the conversation to being part of the solution. And so, part of this new mission and new initiatives has manifested into this public health rulemaking. Just a little background on myself. Originally from Southern California. I grew up in Long Beach. Academically, chemical and petroleum engineering degrees at the university level. I have worked both in the private and public sector in different capacities. And immediately prior to coming to the state, I was in the city of Los Angeles as the petroleum administrator, working on urban oil and gas issues for several years with Mayor Garcetti and the council there, and probably about 10 different departments engaged in various aspects of oil and gas operations in Los Angeles. And I've had this unique role of also being a climate change presenter with Al Gore and being a Green for All fellow, and really trying to bring both my technical, professional skills together to approach our common problems from a different perspective. And so along that way of taking the approach to the diversity of ideas leads to a better solution. It's almost, the more cooks in the kitchen, the better. I want to say for everyone who's commenting today and giving your input today that no idea is too small and no idea is too big. We are seeking all perspectives and looking forward to including that into the final draft rule at the end of this process to really have a solid, collaborative, statewide product that we all can work on and be proud of and really come to this from a new and different perspective. So with that, I will pass the baton to my colleague, and thank you again for everyone for your participation today.
Thank you, Supervisor Ntuk. We appreciate your time, and we're so excited about this meeting. We have over 300 people registered, and I'm going to now review the way that the public comment will work. For those of you who've joined us through the WebEx, you'll be able to see this on your screen. For those of you who've just joined by phone, I'm just going to go over it. So we are going to take comment in 2 minutes each in what I'm calling rounds. So we'll rotate between the following stakeholder voices: community, environmental, industry, labor, public health, other, or prefer not to state, and then the folks who've phoned in. And so we won't see your name or any affiliation. So I absolutely want to apologize because this is, of course, way too few categories for all of us to be categorized in, but for the sake of trying to keep the public comment moving at a quick pace, this is what we have decided we're hoping will work pretty well. And I think we've had pretty good luck with our first 2 virtual town halls. So, Candace, we are ready to dive into our public comments. And Candace, our host, is going to be calling out the names and explaining how she will open your line for you to speak. Wait, Candace, one other thing I want to say before we dive in is we really hope and intend to get to everybody today, but it is possible that we will not have time to hear from everyone. We're going to try. But if we don't have the chance to have you speak today, we absolutely want to hear from you through email or the survey or the poll, whatever is convenient for you. With that, Candace, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to call out a couple of names at a time. At that time, please press #2 on your telephone, which will virtually raise your hand, and then I will unmute your phones one at a time. So at this time, can Jennifer Blannon and Karen Melander-Magoon please press #2 on your phone? Hi, your line is open.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Blannon, and I'm a community volunteer. I support Stand LA, Standing Together Against Neighborhood Oil Drilling. I support what they do in the community and their willingness to help us save lives. I'm here today to speak on behalf of clean water, soil, and air. We know that the closer you live to an oil drill, the more likely you are to contract acute, chronic, and fatal diseases, such as asthma, respiratory illness, and early premature births. These oil wells are found mostly in black and brown communities. The leaks and injections can contaminate our water and our soil. The oil wells where I live in South LA are right in our backyards where we live, where we worship. Oil drilling threatens the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the water we drink. We want healthy family safety and security and opportunities for our families and our children like anyone else. In order to protect the health and safety of our community, we're asking for a 2,500-foot established distance between the oil wells and where people live and work and play. We also want to end all drilling through our drinking water, and we want to restrict hazardous materials being transported through our communities. I believe that by putting people first, by taking the actions and prioritizing our health and safety, it offers us an opportunity to provide healthier, thriving, and a better economy for the whole. If one part of the pie is rotten, the whole pie is rotten. Thank you so much.
And I did forget to mention that there will be a 2-minute period for everyone to give their comments. Karen, your line is open.
Hello, this is Ben Rockwell. Am I on the line? Okay. I'm very much interested in stopping all the pollution that is going into our ocean and around. And I'm also interested in the saving of the lives of persons who are in nursing homes. I spent 4 months in a nursing home here in Long Beach and found that they did not take care of the patients properly, and this has made the health conditions very bad for the patients. I went as much as 14 hours without getting cleaned up when I had diarrhea and a bowel spill. This is uncalled for and makes it very dangerous for the patients. No wonder that same nursing home that I'm now out of has a very high percentage of patients that have had the COVID-19 or coronavirus. They have had, out of 95 beds, they've had over 58 patients that have had the COVID virus, and I am astonished that they're still in business with that type of thing. I'm afraid for all the patients that are in nursing homes and living so close to many of the oil wells that have been drilled here in Long Beach, just off the coast. I don't like that. It's not good for me, for any of the other patients. I, by the way, have 36 diagnosed disabilities and hope to come back again and speak again. Thank you.
Is Karen Melander-Magoon on the line? And can Matthew Perry and Robert Smith please also press pound 2 on your phones? Karen Melander-Magoon, Matthew Perry, and Robert Smith. Press pound 2 on your phones. Matthew Perry, your line is open.
My name is Matthew Perry, and I've worked in the oil and gas industry for the last 13 years. And I am a regulatory advisor for California Resources Corporation. The oil and gas industry has provided me a well-paying job and benefits that has allowed me to provide for my family of 4. Recently, I have felt that CalGEM is no longer relying on science and sound engineering practices to build and guide regulatory policies, but rather CalGEM is responding to anti-oil activist claims to guide policy. This new direction is extremely concerning to me. Please consider the following when you are developing and considering any new regulations. California is already one of the most heavily regulated places in the world, and California's dependence on oil is not going away. Why then would you want to import oil from other countries that do not share our same values like protection of the environment and human rights? Why would you want to shut down a local industry that provides jobs to hundreds of thousands of people and that contributes an immense amount of tax revenue? If truly one of the concerns is global warming, then you should want to keep producing here in California where it can be regulated. However, you cannot continue this attack on the California oil and gas industry with overburdensome regulations that are not founded on science or engineering practices, but rather false claims by anti-oil activists that will inevitably shut down all oil and gas operations in California. In conclusion, I ask that CalGEM acknowledge and study the serious impacts of implementing policies and regulations that would harm my job, my family, and my industry, and would impact the state's overall employment, budget, local economy, and energy supply. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to voice my concerns.
Thank you. Is this Robert Smith?
Yes, my name is Robert Smith with the Painters and Allied Trades Union in Los Angeles, California. These refineries provide incredible career paths for folks in California as opposed to people in other states. We're always going to burn gas. We're going to be bringing gas in, and we need to do it here in California. California first. Thank you.
Thank you. Would Matt Leonard and Annalise Anderle please press pound 2 on your phones? Matt Leonard and Annalise Anderle. Mr. Leonard, your line is open.
Yes, my name is Matt Leonard. I'm with the Global Climate Justice Organization, 350.org, and I just wanted to register our support for a 2,500-foot health and safety buffer from oil and gas extraction. It's well understood that a transition away from fossil fuels is already happening. Doctors, scientists, engineers, community leaders, researchers, economists, there's a massive chorus calling for a new energy future. And the question we have is, will this transition be driven by climate change, peak oil, fires, droughts, pandemics, or economic shocks of an already collapsing industry? Or will we choose to make this shift in an intentional way that's thoughtful and justice-based, that protects workers and communities that are most impacted or reliant on this industry? It's clear that the CEOs and companies that drive the oil industry don't care about these communities. They don't care about workers. We choose to stand with those communities, with those workers, in calling for these health and safety buffers as a first step as part of a plan to completely shift California's economy away from oil and towards a safer, cleaner, just energy future. And we call on CalGEM to look at this research, look at the science, listen to the community leaders, look at the health impacts, and create regulations that mirror what we already know. There's no time to waste. Thank you.
Karen Melander-Magoon and Annalise Anderle, please press pound 2 on your phone. Karen Melander-Magoon and Annalise Anderle. Okay, at this time, so that we can make sure everyone who is participating but did not have a chance to register has an opportunity to speak. If you did not pre-register for this event, please press pound 2 on your phone, and we will take 4 individuals as they come in. Please press pound 2 on your phone if you did not pre-register for this event. Hi, your line is open.
Hello, I think the water is very overdrafted in these areas you proposed for the fracking wells. They used to have just steam injection, but now the fracking, that's good. The water is being used on crops. Now it's going to be fracking wastewater used on crops because our industry has found that in their fracking area nearby, I think is actually some of the ones that got permits, is 1,000 times over the public health goal for the amount of uranium. Amount of radium. And also there's uranium downstream around Bakersfield, downstream of China Great Loop, and I wonder where it's coming from. And we need that water for crops. We'll have to retest at a lot of expense. It might not pass because it had a high value of strontium before. All right. Also, there's like endocrine disrupting chemicals. There's a couple studies, one in Medscape about it, and one in 2019 just came out about carcinogenic chemicals around fracking wells and the premature births and increased asthma and all right, thanks.
Thank you. Hi, your line is open.
Hello, my name is Barbara Burney, and I am recently retired from the City University of New York, where I taught public health. I think that it's really important that CalGEM look at the science and the data and develop regulations that are based on that science and that data. I think it's really important that we have a 2,500 feet buffer from schools, homes, daycare centers, hospitals, et cetera, for, for existing wells. And there's lots of data that shows that the closer that you live to a well, the more likely you are to get sick. And we know that most of these wells are located in Black and brown communities where people already experience health disparities because of the environmental and other exposures that they experience. I think it's important that we have a just transition, as we've heard from people who earn their living from these kinds of projects. And so we need to have a just transition affecting both fossil fuel workers and community members. We have to protect both the workers and the communities. And we need a moratorium on new drilling so that we can begin to move even faster toward renewable energy sources. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, your line is open.
Hello, relatives. My name is Tina Orduno Calderon. As a Tongva elder, I'm deeply concerned about the state of my tribal lands, those lands that we hold sacred. I fear for the health and safety of our environment, as well as for the people, animals, and plant relatives. Please do not allow any more oil drilling, especially do not allow any new projects. It is time to protect the community, the lands, and the water, and to put health and safety of all life before profit. I thank you for allowing me to voice my concerns.
Thank you. We're going to go back to registered attendees. I'm going to lower your hands now, but please don't hang up. It just means that you're no longer in the queue at this time. We will go back to unregistered attendees in just a moment. But at this time, can Polly Estabrook and Dawn Hightree please press #2 on your phones? That's Polly Estabrook and Dawn Hightree. Once again, Polly Estabrook and Dawn Hightree. Press #2 on your phone to raise your hand. Hi, is this either Ms. Estabrook or Ms. Hightree? Hi, your line is open. May I ask who's on the line? Your phone may be muted. Okay. If John Armstrong and Kevin Ferreira, if you are here, please press #2 on your phone. That's John Armstrong and Kevin Ferreira. John Armstrong, your line is open.
Hi, my name is John Armstrong. I work as a senior EH&S representative for Berry Corporation, specializing in air quality. My educational background is in biochemistry and environmental engineering. I would like to thank CalGEM for the opportunity to be a part of this very important conversation. I have worked in the oil industry for 6 years, with the last 5 as an environmental professional. I believe it is important to recognize that the California oil industry is comprised of Californians who live in or near the communities in which they work, myself included. My wife and I are raising our 2 children in Bakersfield and share the same concerns regarding California's environment as others in this conversation. I want my family to live in a city with clean air and have access to abundant and clean water supplies and food, which is why I go to work every day to ensure we at Berry are doing everything in our power to minimize the environmental impact of our operations and contribute to a better energy independent tomorrow for all Californians. The industry at large is committed to protecting public health and the environment and has shown this commitment repeatedly in its support of state programs designed to monitor and address the health and environmental impacts of affected communities in the state at large. We have actively supported and participated in AB 617, SNAPS, and California's GHG Cap and Trade program, to name just a few. Additionally, we track and report our criteria of pollution impact through annual emission inventories and our toxic emissions through AB 2588 inventories. The industry operates under the most stringent air pollution regulations in the country. Part of these regulations include unmatched leak detection and repair programs, which meet the requirements of numerous rules from local air districts, CARB, and the EPA. We look forward to the opportunity to work with all parties in this rulemaking and establishing scientifically supported and fact-based regulations, which will allow all of us to better understand the true existing impacts from all sources and the actual risk reductions and environmental improvements gained from any new regulation affecting only one source site. Improvement of environmental conditions and health outcomes in our communities via additional regulation can only work if the changes actually reduce the impacts of the regulated industry. And the only way to ensure this outcome is through a rigorous, scientifically based assessment of any proposed changes. I'd like to thank CalGEM again for this opportunity.
Once again, Dawn Hightree and Kevin Ferreira. If you are on the line, please press pound 2 on your phones. Dawn Hightree and Kevin Ferreira. Would Aviv Schifrin and Carol Van Ness please press pound 2 on your phones? Aviv Schifrin and Carol Van Ness. Please press pound 2 on your phone. Aviv Schifrin, your line is open.
Hi, thank you. I would like to say the first thing is our top priority must be public health, no matter what. And if we do not establish a 2,500-foot buffer between any oil and gas wells and community, what are we gaining by sacrificing that public health? The main thing actually is oil and gas executive profits, and I think we can all agree that that is not the top priority. However, we do need to address the impact of lost jobs that would happen if we shut down these oil and gas wells. And I propose that the state require oil and gas companies to keep all of those workers that would be displaced, hired to clean up the existing messes on idle oil and gas wells, including the ones that we would create through this process. Furthermore, fossil fuels do not need to be a continuing part of California's economy, and we can actively choose right now to push ourselves along a path with more renewable energy resources, more renewable energy industry, and we can actively have that industry be in those same places where oil and gas wells are currently operating dangerously close to community. Those are my suggestions for CalGEM in terms of helping out the public health crisis caused by oil and gas wells within 250 feet of communities, and at the same time making sure that as few workers as possible are not displaced and do not need to work extra hard just to have their livelihood. Thank you.
Going back to earlier people, Karen Melander Magoon and Kevin Ferreira, also Carol Van Ness and Tanya McMillan. Carol Van Ness, Tanya McMillan, Kevin Ferreira, or Karen Melander Magoon. Press pound 2 on your phone. Would Marjane Moini, I apologize for mispronouncing people's names today, and Marco Aguilar, please press pound 2 on your phone. That's Marjane Moini, or Moini, and Marco Aguilar, please press pound 2 on your phone. Hi, your line is open.
My name is Marjane Moini. I'm a physician. I've taken care of cancer patients in California for more than 20 years. My patients and relatives very often ask me what can be done to prevent cancer. They don't want their kids, they don't want their loved ones to experience what they are experiencing. The fact that oil and gas operations release pollutants and contaminants in air and water is indisputable. The fact that many chemicals are carcinogens are indisputable. Studies show that people living within 2,500 feet of oil and gas extraction have higher rate of cancer. Studies show that people living within 500 feet of gas and oil extractions have more than 8 times risk of cancer. What I'm asking you as a physician and as a mother is to help us prevent what we cannot cure. Help us. enforce disclosure of all chemicals that they use in oil and gas operations. Make companies operating gas and oil extraction responsible to prove these chemicals are safe, not the other way around. We shouldn't be responsible to do public studies to prove these cancers, these long-term diseases many years later. This is not prevention. This is causing disease that we cannot cure. Enforce setbacks of at least 2,500 feet from oil and gas drilling. More importantly, I think there has to be a dedicated healthcare expert in the permitting process. Healthcare experts have to be involved in the permitting process. You can involve local health groups and departments. You have to create a dedicated CalGEM health advisory team if you really are interested in the public health. Thank you.
Marco Aguilar, your line is open.
Hi, my name is Marco Aguilar. I am a union carpenter out of Local 562 in Long Beach. I've been working in the oil refinery for 16 years. I believe the industries are very important to me and my family as they provide new way of living and second opportunities for most of us in the inner cities. And I believe that the industry has came a long way from the last 15 years I've been working there with this new way of emissions. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. At this time, once again, if you did not pre-register for this event, please press #2 on your phone so you may have an opportunity to speak. Again, if you did not pre-register, if you did not have to enter a ID that was an individual ID when you called in for the event, please press #2 on your phone. Hi, your line is open. Hi, your line is open. Yes, please go ahead.
Does this mean I'm now able to speak to CalGEM?
Yes.
Okay, this is Barbara Rhine, R-H-I-M-E. I am on the steering committee of 1,000 Grandmothers for Future Generations, and I am the chair of that group's legislative working group. I very much want to urge CalGEM to stand by the 2,500-foot limit, revoke all of the new permits that have been granted since the COVID crisis began, and not issue any more new permits for fracking projects until the rulemaking process is over in 2021. Now, I say this because it's time to not ignore the other crisis besides COVID, which is the climate crisis. We're having unprecedented temperatures as I speak, way higher than for this time of year. But most importantly, it's a risk to our human habitat, and it's time to switch to renewable fuels and not continue to use dirty fossil fuels. The New York Times recently published an article about just how unprofitable and the beneficiary of shaky financing the entire fracking industry is, particularly in this time of low oil prices during COVID, but also before. It's just no longer correct to invest in ridiculous fossil fuel schemes that we don't need, that are designed for quick profit before the industry is completely divested, which is on its way, that continue to drive us over the tipping point, beyond which there is no return for humanity from the climate crisis. It's irresponsible in the extreme, and we really are grandmothers who care about future generations. We won't be here when the devastating damage is done, but we care about our children, our grandchildren, and their grandchildren, and all children. And you should.
Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead. Your line may be muted. Hi, your line is open. You may make your comments now. Please make sure that your individual phone isn't set to mute.
Hi, this is Bajoang Rosario Conyen from the Liberty Hill Foundation. I'm Senior Program Manager in the Environmental Health and Justice Department and a supporter of Stand LA. I'm also a resident of District 15 in the city of Los Angeles, which has the most active oil wells in the entire city with over 600 active oil wells. Over 5 million Californians live within 1 mile of an oil or gas well. I'm one of those. And I think that the science behind the health impacts that are detrimental to the communities who live within this space is pretty apparent. It's been noted. There have been studies. And I propose that the 2,500-foot buffer that Stand LA wants for the city is expanded to the entire state. Thank you.
Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
My name is David Eder. I'm a resident of Pasadena, California. I'm a member of my local chapter of the Sierra Club, but I'm speaking on my own behalf and also just representing the various communities of California that the least that we can do for them is to require a 2,500-foot buffer around extraction activities and also requesting that CalGEM not issue any new fracking permits until new regulations are issued. That's the least that we can do in light of all the things that are going on in the world right now. It's not too much to ask, a 2,500-foot barrier around the extraction activities, preventing low-income children from being exposed to such dangers. Thank you.
Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Ron Miller, Executive Secretary of the LA Orange County Building and Construction Trades Council. And we're here today to bring to light that the oil and gas industry is one of the last great industries that provides middle-class jobs in the state of California. We have thousands of members that work in the oil and gas industry, and they send their kids to college. They support the local economy. It supports thousands of service industry that supports the refineries and the oil and gas industry. And we need to continue to support the oil and gas industry because we still need oil. Everybody likes to go to the airport and hop on the airplane. They run on oil. Everybody likes to have their street paved. That takes oil. So it's going to be a while before we're able to shut refineries down and go all green, but we're working both sides of the industry. We do the solar, we do the wind, we do the battery storage, and we do oil refineries. And it's a good paying, economy-producing industry. So please, slow down on this in light, just like everybody says, in light of everything that's happening in the world today. We can't chase another industry out of California and hamper the local economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, I'm going to lower your hands, but please don't hang up. We are just going to begin calling people who registered earlier again. Do not hang up. I just lowered your hands. You are still on the line and still able to make a comment in the future. Can Troy Notrangelo and Terry Moon, please press #2 on your phones. That's Troy Notrangelo and Terry Moon. Please press #2 on your phones. Oh, my apologies. Also, Annalise Anderley, if you could also press #2 on your phone. Terry Moon, your line is open.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this. the health of our communities and everyone depend upon a healthy planet. And we can't, fossil fuels and a healthy planet don't go together anymore. Maybe they did because we needed sources of energy in the past and we were willing to risk our health. Maybe we didn't understand then what we know now, but the science has shown us that fracking is not safe. My youngest sister lived in Arkansas and Cabot and died from complications related to showering and drinking water that was contaminated from fracking chemicals. And it was not a pretty sight to watch that happen. She was just 51 years old. She'd only been 51 for 1 week, actually. And the health and safety of so many depend upon our clean drinking water, and fracking jeopardizes the health of that and the air. We need to stop all fracking. The price of oil shows it's not going to be a sustainable industry in the future, and it's definitely, fracking is definitely not a sustainable industry. There's far more that gets invested in that than is reaped in rewards from it. It's an extractive industry. It's time for it to stop. And it's time to prioritize the health and well-being of people over profits. Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Shirley?
Hi, your line is open.
Good afternoon. This is Annalisa Anderle. I'm a registered petroleum engineer and retired from the CalGEM. And I had real concerns, particularly about a number of items. Number one is the number of idle wells that are under inventories of either active or defunct operators. The current count is close to 35,000, and many of them are not going to be properly funded for flooding and abandonment. And there has to be some way of getting after operators to take care of these. They're like ticking time bombs, and if they're not taken care of, they'll become a state liability. In other words, the state taxpayer will have to pay for their abandonment, and it can cost upwards to $200,000 to $500,000 a piece. Our next item is taking another look at cyclic steam wells to evaluate the casing integrity, perhaps every 2 years. Currently, there is no casing integrity test because they're simply given a sonic survey because they have tubing in the hole. So I would suggest pulling the downhole equipment and doing a pressure test every 2 years. They're really dangerous wells because the cement gets cooked by the heat from the steam. That is, it becomes, casing cement becomes risky and leaky and could contaminate groundwaters. Next is better notification of injection projects. As currently, there is essentially no notification. The only requirement currently is that an ad run for 1 month in a local publication, and that is in the WADATS, that no one looks at anymore because no one gets the paper. I'm a subscriber to my local paper, but I don't get it except online. So I want to participate in these projects, have my voice heard, but I don't know when these projects are coming up because there's no notification.
Thank you. Would Patrick Beaulieu and Polly Chu please press pound 2 on your phone. Polly Chu, please press pound 2 on your phone. Hi, your line is open.
Hi, this is Patrick Boileau with the Operating Engineers Local 3. I'm calling to make a comment in regards to the oil and gas industry and in support of all the workers in this industry. I think that we need to support these workers with the good, high-paying jobs that are provided to the community, provided to these workers, and that, generally speaking, we need to give them all the support we need, and we need to oppose the AB 345 legislation language that is going to hamper their jobs. Thank you very much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. Would Laura Ramirez and Louis Kenjemi please press pound 2 on your phones? Laura Ramirez and Louis Kenjemi. Holly Chu, your line is open.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, sorry, my phone died. So my name is Polly Chu, and I'm an Angelino in support of the 2,500-foot buffer. And I just want to speak in terms of racial inequity, drawing on the extensive research of scholar Ibram X. Kendi, who discovered that racial inequity is a problem of bad policy, actually, is often where it comes out in our society. To identify it, we can, to address it, we can identify racial inequity, and we know that communities of color are the most affected by fossil fuel extraction and processing. Many other people have testified to this. We can create anti-racist policy, and the 2,500-foot setback buffer would do that. So I ask you to please use your power to institute a more healthy anti-racist policy, and also this doesn't preclude a just transition for all workers involved in the oil and gas industries. I know that we are, as a society, as businesses, are intelligent and creative and can find alternatives for everybody that work for everybody. So thank you so much for taking my comments. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Hi, Laura Ramirez. Your line is open.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura. I want to thank you for the opportunity I have today to speak. I think one of the big concerns I'm having, not only myself but the community, is right now that these new policies will implement a lot of people losing their jobs. I think with everything that's going on at the moment, it's essential for workers to keep their jobs. Not only that, but if there's any way that these new policies could bring new opportunities, new jobs, not only that, but for you guys to be able to make it safer for the communities, for the Hispanic community, and everyone in general. I do believe that it's very important that you guys try to figure out a way to have everyone in consideration, because there is a lot of people that are becoming sick, they're getting asthma, so many health problems, and I think that's very bad. We have to think not only of others, obviously, for the economic impact that it would have for families and for the economy in general. A lot of people are without jobs. I think at the moment, right now, the health concern is very important, but also having jobs. There's a lot of people at the moment that are counting on one family member working, on a couple of people bringing the income at home. A lot of people are in debt. A lot of people don't have to pay rent, to buy food, and it's essential for us to have our jobs to keep receiving the benefits and everything in general. So if there's any way you guys can make that happen, that would be great. Thank you for letting me speak today.
Guillermo Mendoza and Jose Ramirez. Could you please press pound 2 on your phones? Guillermo Mendoza and Jose Ramirez, please press pound 2 on your phones. Again, that's Jose Ramirez and Guillermo Mendoza. Would Linda Hutchins Knowles and Jasmine Vargas please press pound 2 on your phones? Linda Hutchins Knowles and Jasmine Vargas. Now your line is open.
Yes, hi. My name is Linda Hutchins Knowles, and I am a mother of 2 young children, one of whom has asthma. I'm here today to raise the voices of mothers and grandmothers who plead with you to protect California's children by using your regulatory authority to the fullest. I'm a member of Mothers Out Front, a grassroots movement of mothers and others with tens of thousands of members across the country and state, mobilizing for a healthy environment today and a livable climate tomorrow for all children. We request that you immediately implement a 2,500-foot health and safety buffer zone to protect the vulnerable communities who live, work, play, and breathe near toxic oil and gas drilling. This is essential to protect the health and safety of communities of color and low-income communities who disproportionately live in these areas. Your number one responsibility is to protect the health and safety of Californians. How can you weigh their lives, the value of their lives, versus the value of oil profits for the oil industry? It's time for a just transition, for healthy, green, clean jobs for all, and a healthy, green, clean planet for all to live on. Please do this for the mothers who are pregnant, for the mothers whose children are living in these communities, and for our children's future. We are counting on you to protect us all. Thank you. Oh, I have an extra time. Okay. Or is that it? I want to continue if I have time. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, your line is open.
Hi, this is Jasmine Vargas. I first want to thank CalGEM for making the opportunity to speak on the very much needed and important conversation around the public health and safety of communities right now. But in reality, communities have never been safe from oil and gas extreme extraction, production, and exploitation that has led to the climate crisis that we are in right now. With an organization that fights for the rights of people to say where our energy comes from, and I believe we should set the same standards here by setting a 2,500-foot step back from any oil and gas wells that are currently there, stopping any new permits and revoking the 24 new fracking permits that you allowed. This is on your watch, and it's your responsibility to do something about it. Also ban fracking, close down Aliso Canyon, and answer the call of the people for a just transition for clean energy. The workers demand to have a future in this clean energy project, and we're here to make it happen.
Thank you. At this time, once again, if you have not registered for the event and you would like to make a comment, please press pound 2 on your phone. Again, if you have not registered for the event, but you would like to make a comment, please press pound 2 on your phone. Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead. Your phone may be set to mute.
That is correct. Thank you so much. My name is David Brother, and I'd like to register a comment in support of the 2,500-foot step. In 2015, the California Council on Science and Technology did a 2-year exhaustive study that looked at the issue. This is supposed to be a deciding factor on well stimulation only, as they looked at the numbers of chemicals that are in use, not through the lens of Dogger, because at the time Dogger and still is not tracking chemicals. They started seeing that on average something like 3 million pounds of hydrofluoric acid, 7 million pounds of hydrochloric acid, 80 pounds of xylene, 40 pounds of ethylbenzene are in use in Los Angeles on a yearly basis next to schools and homes. These are all air toxins that we do not want in our children's lungs. And as a result, they expanded the study from quote-unquote unconventional drilling like fracking, acidizing, and acid matrix fracking, and started looking at quote-unquote conventional drilling, because they started seeing that the oil industry was using a lot of hydrofluoric acid when saying that they were doing routine well maintenance or cleaning out a well, prepping a well. Now, this requires no disclosure to the state. They also continued to go on and find that these chemicals were in use in almost similar quantities, and the same types of chemicals, toxic chemicals, are being used, but they're not calling it fracking. So it's not causing any sort of alarm in the communities, while they should be alarming those communities because these chemicals are in use. Furthermore, these are environmentally racist policies, and it shows the further cracks of racism, because while they shut down drilling in Beverly Hills, a few miles later in central Los Angeles, these practices still continue. And if they're not good for the children of Beverly Hills, they're not good for the children of Los Angeles, and we have to have a human health buffer zone where we prioritize the health of all of our children. The oil industry wants to drill in places where people aren't living. That's up to them. But in these communities, our children's health should come first. If we have shut down a $3 trillion economy to protect public health, or we regularly clear the shelves of all the romaine lettuce because it might kill someone, how on earth, 5 years later, after these scientists said we need human health and safety buffer zones around where drilling operations are happening because of elevated health impacts, and the literature and the science is very clear, how on earth does this still continue? This is a moral outrage and is a detriment to our society until this setback is put in place. Thank you.
Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hello.
Your phone may be set to... Yes, please go ahead.
My name is Ron Whitehurst. I live in the middle of the Ventura oil field, and our house is about 150 feet from an active well, historically one of the highest producing wells in the field. And I have several concerns. One is that this is an industrial process that's going on in neighborhoods, and it should be monitored in the same way that pollutants are monitored in the context of like inside of an industrial building, and not, as some kind of regionalized weather event. So there should be active monitoring, within, 100 feet of the well, especially near residences. The oil fields are maintained using Roundup and probably a toxic mix of herbicides to keep the weeds down for fire suppression. And that kills the grass, and so you have bare dirt. When the wind comes up, that soil, the dust laden with these herbicide particles, then go into the wind. So when it's dry and dusty, we have problems breathing here. It's very irritating to the lungs. Those fields could be managed with low-growing grasses and grazed by sheep to manage them at low levels, which would reduce the fire hazard to near zero, at least in the same level as bare dirt. And also increase the infiltration of rain when it comes, and decrease the toxic waste from around the wells going into our groundwater or into the streams and such. the life around the oil wells would also help to with the microbes in the.
Thank you very much. Following individuals, please press #2 on your phones. Michael Williams and Anthony Viscuso. Michael Williams and Anthony Viscuso. And just as a reminder, we'll be calling individuals by name if they registered for the event, but when we open it up for those who did not register, I will only be taking the lines from people who do not have their registration information. Mr. Williams, your line is open.
Hi, my name is Michael Williams. I'm process engineering supervisor at CRC. I've worked in the oil and gas industry for about 15 years, and I'm part of the essential workforce that's still been working and making sure we can provide energy to all of the Californians. My job is obviously very important to me. I have a wife, I have 2 young children, and I absolutely care about health and safety, the health and safety of the environment. I want to live in a safe environment, and I want my kids to as well. But the studies have shown that setbacks don't make any difference. They're not going to make anyone more healthy or safer. It's just going to take away people's jobs and export more California dollars to international entities that we probably don't really want taking our money. I really ask CalGEM to let the science decide, let the science be objective, include a wide range of environmental factors in your study, and include people who work in the oil industry in your study. If exposure is really that concerning, there should be plenty of people who have worked in the industry for 40, 50 years that we can talk to and ask them, see how their health has been affected by the excellent wages and excellent benefits, and how their communities have grown from them being able to be a part and contribute. We'll really just ask CalGEM to be objective, let the science dictate the decisions that are made, and look at all of the data, not just some of the biased information released from certain sides. Thank you.
Anthony Viscuso, your line is open.
Hello, committee members. My name is Anthony Viscuso, and I'm a business agent for the Heat and Frost Insulators in Northern California. I represent approximately 750 members in 47 counties. Local 16 is strongly against AB 345. This bill is threatening jobs during a time when jobs are needed more than ever. These jobs come with real wages, full health care benefits, and a pension. These are union jobs. That means that every race, age, gender, and sexual orientation are treated equally. These are middle-class jobs for people who typically come from underserved communities. If you've seen the looting that's been taking place all over the country, you should understand that this has more to do with inequality and inequity than it does with the most recent tragic event. If the middle class continues to shrink, there will be even more underserved community members. People without hope, without good-paying jobs, don't see a reason to follow the social contract when they have no opportunity. Why follow the rules for a system that doesn't serve you? Since Reagan's administration, the U.S. has outsourced many jobs overseas. Those jobs were sold for slave wages with unsafe working conditions and no regard for the environment whatsoever. Opportunity doesn't get missed. It simply goes somewhere else. We support you in your effort to make California a greener state. We support better health for all. We will gladly build your new, greener facilities, service them, and make sure they're built right the first time. However, until we've constructed new facilities, we cannot damage the existing ones economically. We would like a seat at the table during the discussion to ensure that the future is delivered with the least collateral damage as possible. Now is not the time to pass legislation that will hurt our already hemorrhaging economy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sarah, did you wish to say a few words?
Yeah. Do you see me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Sarah Rubin, the meeting moderator. I just wanted to do a reminder about the way public comment is working today. My apologies on a few fronts. One, if it has been confusing, so we want to apologize. We wanted to be with everyone in person where we could explain things in person and it would probably be more clear. And what we're attempting to do today is to hear from a variety of voices. So for those of you who registered under the categories that we have in the registration page, which include community, environment, labor, industry, public health, and other, we are rotating through those categories. And ahead of this meeting, what I asked Candace to do is to randomly pick people within each stakeholder group. I know some of you, and I wouldn't want any potential, say, implicit biases I have or who I know or don't to influence who is called at all. I'm also sensitive that people who say register sooner or register later shouldn't have any, we just want everybody to speak. So Candace is choosing people. I don't know who she's choosing. We hope we're going to get to all of you. The other thing I want to apologize for is the clock. I'm the one trying to run the clock. Because our offices are shut down and we're not allowed to go downtown, I'm borrowing my husband's computer, which is very sensitive, and I have not been doing that good of a job with the clock. It keeps messing up, but I'm going to keep trying harder, and I'm sorry if the clock and all the slides are annoying. I wish we were just all in person with you, and I apologize if it isn't ideal. So anyways, Candace, with that, I hope that helps some people who might have joined late and where they didn't hear me explain the way public comment works. We're rotating through the different stakeholder groups, and then also we're going to people on the phone because we realize not everybody has internet access. A lot of people have broadband challenges, especially if you're in a rural area. And we want to hear from you whether or not you have internet. We just want to hear what folks have to say. So Candace, with that, I'll have you get back to whoever's next in the queue.
All right, thank you, Sarah. With David Bernie Needleman and Mary Elizabeth, please press #2 on your phone. That's David Bernie Needleman and Mary Elizabeth. Hi, your line is open.
Hi, my name is David Bernie Needleman. Like many people at this meeting, I'm concerned about the health impacts of oil and gas extraction facilities and support both a 2,500-foot safety buffer zone around these facilities and a moratorium on permitting for new facilities. I also wanted to express my great respect for the people who work in the oil and gas industry, and I think the state should provide economic resources, including guaranteeing their health and retirement benefits and income, as we support these workers and their communities as we transition away from oil and gas-based economy. Thanks very much.
Hi, Mary Elizabeth, your line is open.
Thank you. My name is Mary Elizabeth. I'm here to urge CalGEM to take immediate action to protect communities and families who live, work, play, worship, and go to school near active oil wells, gas wells, and refineries across California and establish a 2,500-foot barrier buffer. I am a longtime Sierra Club member, Stockton resident, science and math teacher, and registered environmental health specialist. Health and environmental justice are heavy on my heart. Now is the time to say no to oil and gas wells and refineries within 2,500 feet of places where people live, work, play, and go to school. Over 1 million live within a mile of oil and gas wells in areas of the highest levels of pollution in the state and are communities of color and low income, which put these folks at higher risk for negative health impacts that not only affect their health, but their ability to work and learn. The science is well established showing health impacts of common chemicals and emissions from fossil fuel production on adults and children. And evidence continues to accumulate showing as the distance increases, the negative health impacts decrease, such as premature death, asthma, and other respiratory illnesses that impact learning and attendance. Please make this monumentous decision to create health buffers of 2,500 feet and a retroactive moratorium on new oil and gas wells until rulemaking is complete. This is good planning. I live within a boundary of an AB 617 area established because of low income levels, education levels, and high pollutant exposures. The EnviroScreen data has helped put the focus where the focus is needed. Now is the time to stand up and protect the most vulnerable in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Would Danny Luna and Sydney Pitcher, if you are available, please press #2 on your phone. That's Sydney Pitcher and Danny Luna.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me? My name is Sydney.
Yes, very clearly.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak. So I have a few things, and I'll try to make it quick. So I've heard a couple people speak about how they may have second thoughts about getting rid of oil drilling and stuff because it'll destroy their jobs. What I have to say about that is I feel for those people, but I feel like with the fact that climate change and pollution is taking so much of a toll that we're going to have to find a way to transition from oil to cleaner energy. And what we should do is invest in maybe helping those people financially who may be out of a job and helping them look for new jobs. During the times that we're transitioning and they don't have a job in the oil industry anymore, maybe we should give them like certain stimulus checks, not so big to the point where they'll just be collecting unemployment, but enough to just kind of get them by so that they'll still be slightly pressured to kind of still look for a new job. Because we can't just keep continuing business as usual because pollution is taking a huge toll and there's so much mental and physical illness and so much racism. It's just horrible. And we cannot just take our only planet for granted. I mean, I'm really scared and horrified of the effects of climate change and what's going to happen in our future generations. The other thing that I think would be great is we cannot forget about what happened in 2010 with the Deepwater Horizon. I've watched a few documentaries. I don't understand everything, but just the fact that, 11 workers died and there was so much cover-ups and we had the biggest, most destructive oil spill in history, I'm just absolutely appalled, and we cannot.
Thank you. With Danny Luna, Christy Reed, and Ray Lawson, please press #2 on your phones. Danny Luna, Christy Reed, and Ray Lawson. Press #2 on your phones. Hi, your line is open.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, this is Ray Lawson, and I'm a representative for the Carpenters Union, and I represent the hundreds of oil and gas refinery workers throughout Southern California, and they feel that the safety is excellent. It's 100% safe working in the refineries. They've worked there for decades, and our refineries in Southern California are some of the most safest in the country. They don't come away with illnesses or sicknesses from working in this area and working in this environment. industry also provides hundreds of jobs, good-paying jobs and careers where they're able to raise a family, send their children to college, be productive in society. It also provides a second chance career opportunities for hundreds of men and women in this field, and it also strengthens our state and local economy by manufacturing and producing our own gasoline and our own oil right here in the state of California. It keeps us strong. We, the Carpenters Union, we oppose any legislation that will hamper the continued job and success in the oil and gas industry. Thank you.
Thank you. David Amaya and David Braun, please press #2 on your phones. That's David Amaya and David Braun. Please press #2 on your phones.
Hello, my name is David Amaya, and I need to emphasize that job opportunities and profit should never come at the expense of people's health and well-being. This should go without saying, and yet time after time, we've seen how the well-being of Black and brown people have been affected by oil and gas companies, especially when oil and gas wells are often placed in low-income communities. A clear example of this would be in 2011 when more than 77% of oil and gas wells in California were placed in residents living below twice the poverty line and or communities with a majority of non-white population. And as of 2019, more than 350,000 Californians live within 600 feet of unplugged wells, which can release toxic emissions and flammable gases from both their casings and the pipes that connect to them. This unfortunately has always been a counterproductive business and cannot be allowed to proceed when Black and brown communities are not benefiting from such. It's essential to create economy and profit around eco-friendly and green alternatives that won't displace the lives of Black and POC lives and the health of California residents in general. Thank you.
Christy Reed, your line is open. Your phone may be set to mute.
Hi, thank you. My name is Christy Reed, and I work for the Terminal Company. We're a small independent oil and gas production company in Long Beach, and I'm speaking on behalf of my company and the 40 people that work for us. We have a diverse group of employees that have been with us for decades, many with only a high school education, and we provide great jobs for many different people in our company. A focus on health and safety is the most important aspect of our business, and protecting our employees is our #1 duty. It's absolutely ridiculous to say that we do not care about the health of our workers or communities, because we do. My company and I have been personally attacked by extremists with unfounded accusations of health impacts that have turned out to be attributable to other sources. Local production is sustainable production. Sustainability should mean using all of the resources that we have available to us: oil, natural gas, wind, and solar. Sustainability and environmental protection does not mean exporting our energy sources and relying on foreign countries who don't care about environmental regulations or human rights. This puts us in a significant disadvantage and exposes the state to significant security risks. Shutting down oil and gas has economic ramifications. It not only negatively impacts the companies and our thousands of employees, but also the tens of thousands of mineral and royalty owners in the state. A setback that denies the ability of those mineral owners to exercise their personal property rights is a taking of real property that will require the state to compensate those property owners. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Once again, anyone who did not pre-register for the event, please press #2 on your phone at this time. We will try and take 3 or 4 of you who are not pre-registered. Again, please press #2 on your phone if you did not register for the event but would like to make a public comment. Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hello, my name is Isaac. I'm speaking out against AB 345. I'm grateful and proud to help our California operators produce roughly a third of all the oil that is consumed in our state every day. However, California can produce more. 2/3 of our state oil is coming from the Middle East and Central America countries where environmental regulations are nowhere close to what we have right here in California. In addition to the weak environmental regulations, this oil is coming in from foreign countries, transported via tanker ships running on bunker fuel. Our oil and natural gas right here in California is better for our environment and better for all of the citizens of California who are all consumers. Any further regulations, the current moratorium or further moratoriums will do nothing but increase our dependency on foreign oil. Further dependency on foreign oil increases the cost to all consumers, which will have an increase on the citizens of California, reduces the state and local revenue taxes. I wholeheartedly support the development of any and all forms of energy, and if you are truly concerned about the environment and the well-being of the citizens of California, I ask that you do not implement any further regulations and restrictions on our clean, safe, and efficient oil and natural gas produced right here in California. Thank you.
Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hello, this is Laura Rosenberger, Hyder. Just an example, what happened in Pennsylvania, because I know we're laying off CalGEM expertise and the same thing. In Bradford, Pennsylvania, the water of a dairy farm turned white, was yellow in the water. Her daughter got sick, and the cows got sick. Cows got rashes, actually. In Potter County, 72 complaints of fracking wells, like a blowout, and 6 drinking water wells were polluted. And also there was a study in 2019 linking premature death and asthma and other respiratory problems to proximity to fracking wells. There's also studies of air pollution, linking to air pollution and higher risk of severe complications from COVID-19.
Thank you very much.
Candace, we lose her? Yeah.
Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Tomas Morales-Rebecki. I'm the Central California Organizing Manager for Food and Water Action. I live here in the city of Ventura with my partner and our 2 young children. Both are under the age of 3 years old, and we live right next to the Ventura oil field and within a mile of hundreds of oil wells. Our community is over 70% Latinx, and according to CalEnviroScreen2, we are in the 97th percentile for pesticide exposure and 93rd percentile for exposure to hazardous waste. And these are horrible statistics to face every day, especially if you're raising 2 young children whose lungs have not fully developed yet. So today I'm urging you to begin to undo this legacy of environmental racism by 1, stopping issuing new oil and gas permits. 2, banning fracking and other forms of dangerous extraction. 3, provide protection for workers, including resources to fairly transition jobs to clean energy, conservation, and even remediation. And 4, create a 2,500-foot setback that many other people have been asking for today from oil and gas operations. And finally, 2, deny all aquifer exemptions, especially the 3 that are currently being proposed here for Ventura County. The aquifer exemption application by Carbon California poses the greatest danger to our community because the application shows that the injection area is adjacent to several faults, including the Big Canyon and San Cayetano faults, and as well as numerous other tear faults. So studies have already shown wastewater injection is responsible for swarms of earthquakes here in California, specifically a 2005 swarm in Kern County. The San Cayetano fault is believed to be connected to the Ventura fault, running through highly populated areas, including my neighborhood, with the potential to create a great destructive earthquake and even a tsunami based on where the faults run. Your recently strengthened mission statement is to protect public health and safety while safeguarding the environment. All we are asking is that you do your job and follow through with this mission. And thank you for your time for public input today.
Thank you. Once again, I'm clearing the hands, but please do not hang up. You are still on the line. With the following individuals, please press #2 on your phone. Thomas Rebecki and Koba Yavatsi. Please press #2. That's Thomas Rebecki and Koba Yavatsi. Again, Koba Yavatsi and Thomas Rebecki. Okay, would Fatima Iqbal Zubair and Suzanne Noble please press #2 on your phone? That's Fatima Iqbal Zubair and Suzanne Noble. Please press #2 on your phones. Hi.
Hello, and this is Suzanne Noble. I am speaking on behalf of the Western States Petroleum Association. We represent the companies that provide all of us the transportation fuels we all need and use every day. We want to take a moment just to applaud CalGEM for providing a forum to hear from all voices who care about the health of our communities. WSPA puts nothing more important with its companies than the health and safety of the communities where the women and men of our industry work, live, and also raise their families. Safety is a deep-rooted DNA in our industry, and I'd like to recognize the extraordinary level of commitment and expertise across the oil and gas industry. These folks work diligently on keeping our employees and communities safe. Safety is all throughout every aspect of our industry operations and culture. And in California, where our industry is the most heavily regulated in the world, we're proud of our track record, working productively and collaboratively with the various local, state, and federal entities that regulate all of the oil and gas operations. We look forward to constructively working with CalGEM and all of you. Our industry also works with state lawmakers and community leaders to support data-driven policies that protect our community. We care about the health and safety of our communities, and we hope that we can work through civil dialogue, collaboration. We can find ways to share our technical expertise. We believe in science and data-driven solutions. We certainly aren't always going to agree on everything, but let's start with what we do agree upon, and that's everyone deserves to breathe clean air, drink clean water, and have access to safe, affordable, and reliable energy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would James Foster and Justin Trong please press #2 on your phone? James Foster and Justin Trong. Please press #2 on your phone. Would Amanda Pantoja and Sandy Naranjo please press #2 on your phone? Amanda Pantoja and Sandy Naranjo. Justin, your line is open.
Hey, my name is Justin. Right now we're going through this incident right now with the Black Lives Matter and all this, with the protesting going on with Black Lives Matter. And right now we have some questions. So the public health knows that the EPA has gotten much worse, right, with the climate crisis and those issues that matters, right? And we need better, affordable climate change if we're going to have a good, strong planet for years and generations to come.
Thank you very much. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hello, am I heard?
Yes.
Hi, greetings. My name is Sandy Naranjo. I am the California Organizing Manager for Mothers Out Front, which is a growing national movement of over 35,000 mothers and others who advocate for a swift, complete, and just transition to clean, renewable energy. There is an overwhelming amount of scientific evidence linking exposure to toxic chemicals from oil drilling to negative health outcomes, including nausea, headaches, asthma, lung and heart disease, birth defects, and more. The need for setbacks is more urgent than ever in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. A recent Harvard research study found that a person living for decades in a county with high levels of fine particulate matter has an 8% increased rate of death from the coronavirus than someone in a region with 1 unit less of the fine particulate pollution. This means that to protect California from COVID-19, we must reduce the pollution they're exposed to. On top of that, gas and oil drilling are concentrated in low-income communities of color who suffer some of the worst air pollution in the nation. As mothers, we want CalGEM to step up now and establish science-based setback limits to protect public health and the environment from the oil and gas extraction. We've seen California prove that a healthy economy and a clean environment are not mutually exclusive. California remains a leader in growing its renewable energy and electric transportation sectors. The clean energy sector already provides family supporting jobs in California, outpacing jobs in the fossil fuel industry by 5 to 1. We deserve a 2,500-foot health and safety buffer between oil and gas sites and homes, hospitals, schools, churches, and other sensitive land uses. Our communities deserve a clean and healthy place to live, work, eat, play, and pray. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would David Page and Don Maruska please press #2 on your phones? Don Maruska and David Page. Please press #2 on your phones. Hi, your line is open.
Hi, thank you. I'm David Page. I'm a retired member of SEIU Local 10 to 1. I wanted to comment about the people calling in about jobs and supporting the workers, and my heart goes out to these people. I think it's time we tell them the truth. Governments, oil companies, and even their unions have been leading them down the wrong path to think that these jobs that they have are going to be permanent and good paying and provide great benefits forever. The truth is they're more like temp jobs. The reason is because of the health problems. The Newsweek magazine had an article last November saying that 200,000 Americans die each year because of air pollution. So the writing's on the wall. These jobs are not going to continue. What I'm recommending is that you have setbacks that are even further than what you're proposing so that we keep oil and natural gas underground permanently. We can't afford to have people dying at that rate without thinking about how to do it better. We can move to wind and solar, provide jobs that way, make a plan, implement it, and keep these my brothers and sisters in good jobs from now forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go back to a few that we called earlier to make sure we're not missing anyone. Karen Melander-Magoon and Dawn Hightree. Please press #2 on your phones. Karen Melander-Magoon and Dawn Hightree. Please press pound 2 on your phone. Would Sandy Emerson and Maria Minikata please press pound 2 on your phone? That's Sandy Emerson and Maria Minikata. Hi, Maria, you're on the line. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Maria, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My husband has been working for the oil and gas industry for 20 years. His job has helped our family send our kids to college, get health care, and food on our table. I am worried that AB 345 would lead to the elimination of thousands of jobs in California, including my husband. Even worse, during the current global pandemic and the resulting global recession. At this point in time, we should be avoiding losing jobs. I totally agree that oil companies should update the rules to keep people safe, but not forcing oil companies to shut down or lay people off. Behind every oil and gas worker is a family that depends on the salary for survival, and in my case, I have been laid off. My mother-in-law and 3 children depend on my husband's income, and like myself, there are a lot of families in the same situation. Please help our oil and gas workers. Thank you.
Would Linda Waltrip and Armando Flores please press pound 2 on your phones? That's Linda Waltrip and Armando Flores. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Armando Flores with the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, VICA. We represent over 400 businesses and nonprofits in the San Fernando Valley and all throughout the Southern California region. As a business organization, we have seen firsthand the impact the current economic crisis has had on businesses and workers. Businesses have struggled to stay alive, and many are struggling to reopen as they have undergone huge financial hits, leaving many who were employed by those businesses without work. This is why we urge you to consider rules and regulations that do not further negatively impact workers, businesses, and the economy. As we continue to work towards achieving our climate goals, we need to ensure that we have an energy portfolio that includes all forms of energy, including oil and gas. These industries are already heavily regulated and provide a significant number of jobs, which in turn boost our economy. Additional regulations will only further increase our dependence on foreign oil. It will leave more workers without a job and impede on the recovery of our economy. We urge you to continue working with the oil and gas industry as they provide important expertise and insights for consideration in your rulemaking. Thank you.
Hi, Linda, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hello, my name is Linda Waldrop. I'm a retired public library manager and a member of Greenpeace. I would like to urge you to create the 2,500-foot buffer zones between oil and gas activities and where people live, work, and go to school. I would also like to urge you to end oil drilling in drinking water supplies area and in high fire danger zones. Thirdly, I'd like to ask you to limit the trucking of hazardous materials through communities. As a longtime docent at the John Muir Historic Site in Martinez, I welcome visitors from all around our state. I know that Californians care deeply about the kind of environment in which they live, work, and where their children attend school. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share my views.
Thank you. Once again, anyone who did not pre-register and would like to give a comment, please press pound 2 on your telephone. Again, if you did not register but would like to give a comment, please press pound 2 on your phone. Hi, please go ahead. Your phone may be set to mute.
Thank you. Leslie Purcell. I am a Sierra Club member, but I'm speaking as an individual. And there are a couple issues around flaring that I'm concerned about. We have unlimited 365, 24 hours a day flaring in many areas where there's oil production. And it's a climate issue, produces greenhouse gas and pollution and heat. So we would like to see no more flaring allowed except for real emergencies. Frack water also is a concern with groundwater and aquifer contamination. And also Roundup is sprayed all around the oil facilities, and it can remain for years in the soils, and the soils then are very dry and dusty, and they blow off, and people that live and work in the surrounding areas are at risk from those pollutants from the Roundup. So I think that needs to be addressed, and also perhaps putting in some low-growing native plant or other drought-tolerant ground covers could be effective at keeping down some of that dust, as well as being helpful for the climate and temperature and holding in of the water when it does fall. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Hi, your line is open. Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead. Your phone might be set to mute. Hi, did you have a comment? Sorry, you were very quiet. We couldn't hear you.
Le'iha, my name is Jessica Calderon. I represent the Tongva Nation, which is the First Nation of Los Angeles County. And I am very concerned because those who have not lived here prior to the 1800s don't understand the damage that has been done to our soils, which is why we have raised beds today. And it's never a question of if an oil line breaks, but when. So I urge us to do better, to find better ways to, for those who feel that they can't support their families, we can try things like community gardening and ways of pulling together as a community to help each other. And as far as going on airplanes is concerned, that's not a necessity. As we've seen with this pandemic, we've been able to communicate just fine through things like Zoom and phones. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Cesar Aguirre. I'm a community member here in East Bakersfield, and I'd like to bring attention and hopefully some action to the 2,500-foot setback that's needed, in the communities to protect public health. To me, it feels confusing and insulting to take part in a process in which the lens is, please convince me that your life is worth it. Please convince me that your livelihood is important enough for me to make change for you. Kern County residents have some of the dirtiest air from the stationary sources of PM 2.5. More than half of that comes from oil companies, and PM 2.5 has been linked to the destruction of many things within the human body, including lowering of IQ points. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it for my health, and it's not worth it for my community to suffer in this way. We need better protection. Thank you.
Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Justin Chow. I'm with the Sunrise Movement here in LA, and I'd like to support the 2,500-foot health and safety buffer between oil and gas sites and homes and hospitals. We all know that living near active oil and gas extraction sites come at deadly costs, not only in terms of our health, but also negative exposure for birth defects, lung diseases, headaches, asthma, nausea, all the things that we talked about and really can't be overlooked. And I also want to address some of the audience members who've been talking about the potential split from the jobs perspective. In this situation, the government's going to need to step in and help fossil fuel workers. It's the right thing to do. Workers in the fossil fuel industry aren't responsible for climate change. They've been told what to do by the corporate leaders who themselves are denying the existence of climate change. So adjustments to the system is essential for economic diversification and to avoid long-term economic stagnation. They have to find economic alternative jobs. So it's difficult because fossil fuel workers tend to have highly specialized skills. So we really need to have the government help fund training programs and relocation for the new jobs essential to avoid both an economic disaster and social problems that could accompany unemployment. It's also a smart political move. If politicians want to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, they need to build a robust political coalition. It's difficult to do without the fossil fuel workers who are often unionized and politically powerful to know. So this is why the government should be refocusing their efforts on immediate job creation and training so they can compete for jobs in growing industries and clean energy installations. In addition, the government should be offering generous payroll subsidies to local companies that hire fossil fuel workers who were recently laid off or transitioning. The fossil fuel industry doesn't need to have generous government support. We really need to have them decrease their production if we need to stop the climate disruption. And the business model is fundamentally incompatible with the low-carbon world economy.
Thank you very much. Do you wish to provide additional comments?
Sorry, Candace.
Yes, did you wish to speak about extending the meeting? I think your phone might be muted, sir. We'll just take a few more calls right at the moment. We're going to go back to list of registered attendees. I'm going to lower people's hands, but again, you're not being disconnected. You're just, I'm just lowering your hands so we can go back to our list. Looking for Scott Murray and Elise Kalfayan. Scott Murray and Elise Kalfayan. Please press #2 on your phones. Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Scott Murray, and I live in San Diego. I'm a public policy co-chair at San Diego 350 and a climate reality leader. Today, I'm asking CalGEM to prioritize Californians' health and safety and not oil industry interests and require a health and safety buffer. Burning fossil fuels causes climate change, which harms California through increased droughts, wildfires, and extreme rainfall. Extreme heat alone kills more people than any other extreme weather event. But besides the climate change results of burning oil and gas, extraction and transportation harm Californians through increased cancer rates, asthma, and other health problems. It isn't a mystery that carcinogens and particulate matter cause health problems to those exposed to them, despite what so-called industry insiders might say. And asthma is the #1 reason for absences in California schools, and that can have a lifelong effect on economic opportunity. Fossil fuel infrastructure disproportionately harms the health of minority communities. The science is clear. It causes early death. So is fixing that overly burdensome since we can fix it? There's no reason to harm innocent people because of excuses like jobs. There are lots of opportunities for clean energy jobs that don't harm the poorest and minority populations in California. There are lots of reasons people are upset right now about police brutality and over-policing, but systematic racism and lack of opportunity, including pollution from fossil fuels, adds to that anger. So do we really need to trade a job for harm to people that are innocent? No, it's a false choice. People can have high-paying careers in renewable energy and in cleaning up the pollution from fossil fuel industry, including a backlog of abandoned wells, and we can grow our economy. So we can protect people's health and address climate change and grow the economy and protect jobs. I'd like to urge Governor Newsom and CalGEM to create a health and safety buffer. Thank you.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for hanging in with us. I know it's a lot of time to spend on the phone or on the computer. Officially, our meeting is scheduled to end at 3 p.m. We are going to go, I'm going to check in 45 minutes from now to see how we're doing. We're hoping to get to as many of you as possible. We do have to end at 4 o'clock. That's we don't have the ability to have the service past 4, so we're going to get in as many people as we can. We want to hear from you. I would like to assure everybody that whether you speak in a virtual town hall like this one, or if you already spoke at an in-person meeting, or if you send an email, it's of equal weight. So if we unfortunately don't get to you today, we highly encourage you to send an email or use the survey or use the instant polling tool. Every way to communicate has the exact same weight as the others. And I just want to make sure everyone knows, as Supervisor Intook said at the beginning of this, no idea is too small and no idea is too big. And so just because, say, we hear of a good idea 3 times versus 30 times or 300, they all will get analyzed at the same level, and we are going through all of the comments that you provide to us very carefully. So thanks again, and I don't want to take any more of this time, so we can get right back to hearing to you all. And Candace, I'll hand things back to you.
Thanks, Sarah. We're looking for Lauren Danos and P. Anthony Thomas. Please press #2 on your phones. That's Lawrence Danos and P. Anthony Thomas. Press #2 on your phones. Lawrence, your line is open.
Okay. This is Lawrence Danos. I'm a citizen of Hayward, California, and I'd like to see that California lead the country by paying attention to climate change, the science, and start phasing down all fossil fuel extraction and then transition to renewable fuels, and also an orderly just transition for our to be put in place for our workers. And then also, to make this short, I'll just say that I'd like to support the 2,500-foot buffer zone for all those public health reasons that have already been stated here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And P. Anthony Thomas, can you please press #2 on your phone? Melanie Cohen, please press #2. Manuel Cunha, please press #2 on your phones. Melanie Cohen and Manuel Cunha, please press #2 on your phones. Melanie, your line is open.
Hi, good afternoon all. My name is Melanie Cohen. I'm a lifelong activist here in Southern California. I today would like to talk to all of us in light of all of the difficulties our state is facing. We need to stand for each other. We need to be there for each other. But before we can do that, right now we have some serious issues, including being in Southern California being the #1 polluted air in the United States. So bearing this in mind, I would like to support all frontline communities here, especially in Southern California, and call, please stand up for banning fracking and rolling back the permits that are being caused to cause fracking. We need 2,500-foot setbacks. We need a clear transition to renewable energies with protection for workers. We need immediately to ban modified hydrofluoric acid in 2 refineries in Southern California, which should there be another accident, since there was one in 2015, could destroy many lives and hurt many people. I thank you for listening today. I am hoping that CalGEM understands how important it is to stand, and I hope you can. Thank you, Stand LA. Thank you, Sierra Club, of whom I've been a member for many years. Thank you, Food and Water Watch. And thank you all who are on the phone today. Bye-bye.
Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead. Your phone may be set to mute. Your phone may be muted, but your line is open here. If you have a comment, please go ahead. We'll move on to the next people on our list. Looking for Teresa Marion and Glenn Dolph. Press #2 on your phones. Teresa Marion and Glenn Dolph.
Hi,
Your line is open. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry, I started too soon. My name is Glenn Dolph. I'm a representative of IBEW Local 428, Bakersfield, California. We definitely are strongly opposed to AB 345. You've probably and will hear quite a bit more from others in the labor industry that's going to talk about that and what their stand is and why. I don't think I need to repeat that. I'll talk a little bit about me. I've represented people out in the oil fields. I've been out there. I've looked at those companies. I've looked how they operate. And when it comes to construction and maintenance, I haven't seen anybody that actually tries harder to actually make a difference in these days. I know what their reputation used to be. I used to be out there, but it's not that way anymore. Kern County has some of the worst air in the country. That's absolutely true. PM10, PM5, PM2.5. The oil fields aren't, and the oil refineries are not actually the major contribution to that. It's actually agriculture and mobile and stationary diesel engines. Anybody that wants to shut down fossil fuels for burning, I'm all for it. I've been involved with environmentalism, and I'm dating myself, since the 70s. In those days, you didn't listen to everybody else on the internet. It didn't exist. You studied the problem, and you looked at what's going to happen, what you need to do. Fossil fuels and the conversation of fossil fuels with this is, for the most part, a smokescreen. Fossil fuels do come from oil wells, and yes, we definitely need to shut down fossil fuels, but take a look at everything around you that's made from oil.
Thanks very much. Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Teresa Marion of Seneca Resources. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. Thank you for your time to speak and provide comment. I have worked as an environmental health and safety professional in the oil and gas business for over 10 years, and I know firsthand the steps operators take to provide a healthy and safe environment for workers, the communities we operate, and the environment. We work hard to strive beyond mere compliance and ensure our operations are safe. We live in the communities we operate. Our families live here, and we have a vested interest in ensuring our communities are safe and protected. Each day, this industry provides us the energy we need locally to care for our families and support our communities. We want a healthful environment also. And in California, we operate under some of the strictest regulations in the country. Additional regulation without factual backing does not make these operations safe. Regulation needs to be fair and backed by data analysis. We do as an industry because it's our duty and we care to operate safely. Therefore, I'm not for more stringent policies. Energy production needs to stay in California for the betterment of us all and can continue to do so safely under our current stringent regulations. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with CalGEM in this process.
Thanks very much. Following people, please press #2 on your phones. Wendy Ring, Patrice Sutton, Mark Plubel, Rupak Kandasamy, and Jimmy Schloss. Please press #2 on your phones. Rupak Kandasamy, press #2 on your phone. Ms. Ring, your line is open.
Hi, my name is Wendy Ring. I'm a physician and public health professional. I've spent 30 years caring for low-income communities. I'm a data nerd, and I've read hundreds of studies on air pollution, oil and gas production, and health. If you look at the science, a 2,500-foot setback is necessary, but it would not provide the complete protection that we're looking for, because it only would protect against high concentrations of VTEX chemicals. There are numerous studies showing increased cancer, heart disease, adverse birth outcomes, and excess hospitalizations up to a radius of 10 miles. Oil and gas operations emit ultrafine particulates and nitrogen oxides, which are known to cause these and other conditions, and which already exist at hazardous levels in the Central Valley in Southern California. It doesn't matter what percentage of the total, more emissions cause more harm. Now add on climate impacts, which hit hardest in the same low-income communities of color where most drilling occurs. The argument that we just import dirty oil from elsewhere ignores the decrease in demand that will come as California meets its climate goals. Just as COVID-19 causes more harm in a nursing home than in the middle of the Sierras, vulnerability to oil and gas impacts varies. Each community is different, each new well adds more pollution, and the picture changes over time. That's why each permit must have its own CEQA, and a threshold should be established using CalEnviroScreen and Healthy Places Index, so that when unavoidable health impacts would occur in a highly vulnerable community, a permit will be denied. CalGEM must have discretionary power to do so, but as we've seen in the past year, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. We need mandatory oversight of permitting by state offices of environmental health hazard assessment and health equity, and an immediate moratorium on permitting until such oversight is established and health rules are in place.
Mark Plubel, your line is open. Please go ahead. Your phone may be set to mute.
Hello, my name is Mark Plubel. Good afternoon. I am a representative for the Heat and Processors, Local Circuit 16 in Northern California. I represent approximately 750 union brothers and sisters. You've heard this before, but all the building crafts, trades offer good middle-class wages, medical benefits, coverage, pension wage, and benefits. But they aren't jobs or careers, and you can't just throw those away and start something new. It's a 4 to 5 year apprenticeship program our members go through, as well as on the job paid training. These are not low-skilled jobs that someone can just transition off of and make the same wages and benefits somewhere else. No stimulus money will help us there. Many of these members work safely in the oil industry. California refineries operate in the cleanest manner of any state in the country. I am not at all opposed to requiring monitoring and tracked inspections. Accurate data analysts should drive the regulations. I am strongly opposed to any regulations that would force the closure of any existing refinery or extracting in California. All these jobs done other places are dirtier than in California. That being said, this is bad for the economy and bad for workers. I'm strongly opposed to AB 345. Thank you.
Your line is open.
Hi, I'm Patrice Sutton, and for the past 35 years, I've conducted research and published extensively on the health impacts of environmental chemicals, working as a scientist for the California Department of Public Health and the UCSF Program on Reproductive Health and the Environment. I'm speaking on behalf of San Francisco Bay Area Physicians for Social Responsibility. We call on you to take prompt and effective action to mitigate harmful exposures to toxic chemicals for the more than 850,000 people who live within 2,500 feet of an active oil well in California. We know that many of the chemicals used in oil and gas extraction cause cancer and reproductive health impacts. Many others have incomplete or no health data, and their safety cannot be assumed. Our work at UCSF and the research of many other academic scientists demonstrate unequivocally that developmental exposure to toxic chemicals, even at low levels, is linked to myriad adverse health outcomes. There is no safe level of exposure to many toxic chemicals. In response to the science, reproductive health professionals in the U.S. and around the world have said loud and clear that preventing exposure to toxic chemicals is essential to ensuring healthy pregnancies, healthy children, and future generations. The people who are harmed by the chemicals used in oil and gas extraction are also more likely to be people who face many other environmental threats. We ask that you stop perpetuating this injustice by aligning CalGEM's actions with its stated priorities of public health, safety, and the environment. We call on you to implement physical setbacks of at least 2,500 feet, fully disclose the toxicity and uses of all the chemicals involved, increase exposure monitoring, and create a dedicated CalGEM health advisory group while you simultaneously phase out these climate-threatening operations. Thank you.
Thanks very much. With Jimmy Schloss, Rupak Kandasamy, Will McGarvey, Deborah Schifrin, and P. Anthony Thomas, please press #2 on your phones. That's Jimmy Schloss, Rupak Kandasamy, Will McGarvey, Deborah Schifrin, and P. Anthony Thomas. Please press #2 on your phones. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Oh, yes. Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank CalGEM and my deep appreciation to the supervisor and also Ms. Rubin for holding these many community meetings that allow for many to express themselves. Let me be very clear. Many have stated about studies, but none have stated who has done the peer review. Peer review obviously speaks to who has made the study and their conclusions. My industry and my workplace looks like California. It's diverse. It's Latinos, it's African Americans, it's Asians, it's veterans. What I would simply say as a person who represents the California Independent Petroleum Association is one that what is it going to take for us to have an equitable energy portfolio, number one. Number two, what is it going to take for us to have a dialogue with those on the other side? It seems like they want it one way and one way only, and that is it's going to be fossil fuels or nothing, or I should say it should be renewables and nothing, when both can coexist, and they should coexist. And in my view, ladies and gentlemen, give me the time, or what are you going to do with these employees, and what are you going to do to backfill the revenue loss that will happen if you, in fact, obliterate the oil and natural gas industry. Again, I want to thank CalGEM for their upfront process and wish everyone well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Once again, are Wilma Garvey, Deborah Schifrin, Jimmy Schloss, or Rupak Kandasamy available? Please press pound 2 on your phone. And in the interim, we would like to go back to asking anyone who did not pre-register to also please press pound 2 on your phones. Again, if you did not pre-register and you would like to make a public comment, please press pound 2 on your phone at this time. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Well, did you hear my previous comment? This is Laura Rosenberg Hyder. Well, I guess you heard it.
Hi. Okay. Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Rudy Rodriguez, 46-year member of Local 250 Stanford, Los Angeles, over 6,000 members strong. The proposed ordinance will put the oil and gas industry in the LA County basically out of business, not to mention the thousands of good-paying jobs, building trade jobs that will go away. I can't even begin to tell you what the oil and gas industry has done for me and my family. I have put 3 kids through college, all with very successful careers. I've worked in refining for over 30 years. To me, it's a win-win situation with myself and so many other members like me. So thank you very much for your time. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Again, if anyone did not pre-register and you would like to make a comment, please press pound 2 on your phone at this time. Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hi, I'm Guillaume, a father of 2 living nearby wells. I'm an advocate for fact and science. Oil and gas extraction in California is highly regulated and safe, but the fact is that by imposing setbacks, we'll only chase with jobs lower environmental standards of the oil and gas we use while paying foreigners for energy. This will endanger our country's national security further. Oil and gas extraction is a minor contributor to asthma, air pollution, if anything, dryness of the weather, agricultural practices, heavy density population, and cars and all are the source. So having setbacks is not going to do any good to our community. As a matter of fact, poverty is known to be linked to malnutrition, lesser education, poor health, worse environment. You can check, difference between India and China versus Switzerland and Norway to check this. So all the issues brought up by the audience in general, it's not due to poverty, so it's not due to oil and gas extraction, but to all of the other factors, including poverty. Then it comes naturally that having setbacks is only going to take away jobs, benefits, making people energy more expensive, increase the trade imbalance, and basically bring more poverty, and as such is actually going to increase racial inequalities and hurt our communities, unlike what people are saying. So if people want to initiate the energy transition and they want to do it and they can afford it, that's great for them, and I encourage them to do so. But the others should have the freedom to pick what energy they want to use, because cheap, reliable energy is critical to everyone's right and their capability to access food, health, education, wealth, and to have well-being in general. So I vote no on setbacks. Thank you.
Thank you. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Great. Thank you so much. My name is Michael Zelniker. I'm the co-chair of the Los Angeles chapter of the Climate Reality Project, former Vice President Al Gore's organization. I am here to urge Governor Newsom and CalGEM to take immediate action to protect our communities and families who live, work, go to school, and even worship in the shadow of active oil wells and other fossil fuel industry infrastructure. On this call, we're hearing how fossil fuel corporations operate. They weave themselves into the fabric of the economy of our communities, leaving some of our workers dependent on jobs that are killing them and their families, pitting those of us who advocate for a clean, safe, healthy, sustainable environment and those who want to provide for their families. This is shameful, and we must see through this insidious technique. Over 5 million Californians live within 1 mile of an oil or gas well. The backyard for countless homes, schools, hospitals, and other sensitive sites is an oil or gas well or other fossil fuel industry infrastructure. The science behind the health impacts of the chemicals and emissions from fossil fuel production is clear, linking how close you live to an oil or gas well to a host of health impacts, cancer, premature mortality, asthma, and other respiratory illnesses. This is an issue of equity and justice. Our frontline, often marginalized, often low-income communities, communities of color, are that much more susceptible to these harmful health impacts because these neighborhoods are more likely to house all this fossil fuel industry infrastructure. Climate scientists have made it clear we must wean ourselves off of fossil fuels as quickly as possible if there is to be any hope of leaving our children and the generations to come a habitable planet. We must transition to clean, renewable energy sources like solar and wind, industries that are growing jobs at a much higher rate than anything in the fossil fuel industry. We raise our voices today demanding a 2,500-foot setback between oil and gas operations and the places where people live, work, and learn. We appeal to you as policymakers that you prioritize community health and safety. We have an opportunity to forge a just and equitable transition driven by healthy jobs of the 21st century, resulting in clean air and water in our communities. That is what creating a better.
Very much. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Janice Burston, and originally I just signed the petition and was asked if I wanted to give a comment, so I figured why not. So 2.5 hours later, I agree with the previous speaker. Whatever he said, I doubled down on that. This is the time that we need to readjust our thinking and look at the future with new eyes. The pollution throughout the world has been lessened dramatically. We can't go back to the way it was. We need to do everything we can in every way to clean up this planet, on the land, the air, the sea. And I firmly believe the 2,500-foot limit or barrier is advisable. If we need to have green energy, solar energy, renewable energy, we can't go back to the way things were. If we haven't learned anything from this global pandemic, then civilization doesn't have much to look forward to. And I'm a mother, grandmother, and it's really, this is, according to some environmentalists, this is the 59th minute of the 11th hour, and we really need to take that into consideration. and I disagree with Governor Newsom on his fracking policy. I was very upset when I heard that this past month. So thank you for listening, and everyone have a good day.
Thanks very much. The following people, if you're here, please press #2 on your phones. Katrina Matheson, Mary Beth Troutwin, Guadalupe Villalobos, Deborah Schifrin, and Graham Hamilton, and Mark Futermick. Please press #2 on your phones. Graham Hamilton, Mark Futernick, Katrina Matheson. Please press #2 on your phones. Hi, your line is open.
Good afternoon. My name is Marianne. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I am the mother of a worker on the oil industry, and I just would like you to please remind that the oil industry supports a lot of families, and not just the families. They improve the economy. They affect a lot of people, especially in these times with this really delicate situation. We have to improve the economy in order to get again. I'm not against getting safety issues to address, but and the changes are fine, but we need to find a good solution for this. It's not just matter to move the oil industry. We have to be real and check the human and economic consequences in those decisions. And I would say that we shouldn't hurt the economy just now in this situation. A lot of people is hoping to have a job, and there's no easy to find jobs. I don't think right now is a good situation to address in that way. So thank you. I hope you can think about it, and thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Mary Beth Troutwin, your line is open.
Hello, my name is Mary Beth Troutwine. I'm a resident of Venice, and I'm active with the group Protect Playa Now, a group of local volunteers working to bring attention to the dangers of the Playa del Rey gas storage facility and to shut it down. I am speaking today in support of the 2,500-foot setback for all existing oil and gas wells in our state. Local residents here that live close to the facility, some within 200 feet, have experienced migraines, bloody noses, asthma, and other ill health effects from the carcinogenic chemicals that are used in the storage facility and the processing of oil and gas. In the 2018 nonpartisan report issued by the California Council on Science and Technology, that was commissioned by the state legislator, this report cited that the Playa del Rey gas storage facility beneath the Bayona wetlands is the most dangerous in the state. The 2,500-foot setback would be a key element of closing this facility that was cited as a very dangerous facility. Our local officials, County Supervisor Janice Hahn and City Councilman Mike Bonin, have both cited the dangers of this facility due to its proximity to residents and to a very important center, LAX. It's important for jobs and the economy. They have both asked for investigations of this facility. In addition, we are in a climate emergency. Californians are some of the most innovative and creative people in the world. We have the capacity to kick fossil fuels, solve racial and social injustices, and provide jobs in the renewable sector for a cleaner future. It is past time to kick fossil fuels. Support AB 345. Thank you.
Thank you. For the following individuals, please press #2. Graham Hamilton, Mark Futernick, Barbara Burney, Katarina Gaines, and Piedmont Brown. Please press #2 on your phones. That's Graham Hamilton, Barbara Burney, Mark Futernick, Katarina Gaines, and Piedmont Brown. Please press #2 on your phones. Katarina, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name is Katarina Gaines, and I'm 15 years old, and I'm with Youth versus Apocalypse. I'm here today because we need new health and safety policies and restrictions in regards to urban fossil fuel extraction projects. These oil drilling projects hurt so many low-income communities and communities of color. People living within 2,500 feet of these projects are at risk to respiratory issues, heart palpitation, muscle spasms, cancer, birth defects, reproductive health risks, and much more. We have known about these risks since the 1960s. This cannot happen anymore because oil drilling is poisoning our communities and environment. We need a 2,500-foot barrier between communities and oil drilling. In addition, you need to stop supporting and issuing new permits for oil drilling and fracking. During the pandemic, low-income communities are proven to be hit the hardest by COVID-19 due to health compromisations given to them by oil drilling and fracking. According to the EPA, people of color are the most likely to live near polluters and polluted air. We need to stop hurting marginalized communities. You have the power to protect our communities and planet. We need a just and equitable transition to renewable energy. This would allow for more jobs without poisoning workers and the communities and planet. The switch to renewables is inevitable if we want a livable future. Please allow this transition to happen in time. You have the power to do so. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Would Angela Deegan, Piedmont Brown, Jeb Eddy, and Jimmy Schloss, please press #2 on your phones. Again, that's Jeb Eddy, Jimmy Schloss, Piedmont Brown, Alice Driffel, Angela Deegan. Please press #2 on your phones. Angela, your line is open. Go ahead.
Hi there. My name is Angela Deegan. I'm calling in from La Mesa in San Diego County, where I live. I was happy to hear that CalGEM's mission to protect public health, safety, and the environment was recently strengthened. I urge CalGEM to phase out oil production in exposed communities by creating the minimum 2,500-foot health and safety buffer zone between fossil fuel infrastructure and homes, schools, and other sensitive sites. This will help us make the critical transition away from fossil fuels to renewable energy in a planned, intentional way so we can ensure a smooth transition without workers falling through the cracks. I also support a moratorium on any new drilling operations. The bottom line is that at the macro scale, there's simply no way to burn fossil fuels in a way that protects public health. And if we fail to transition away from fossil fuels fast, we're condemning our children and future generations to living on an inhospitable planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looking for Katrina Matheson, Jeb Eddy, Jimmy Schloss, Piedmont Brown, Alice Drufel, and Kenna Lee. Please press #2 on your phones. If you would like to make a comment and you have not been called on, please press pound 2, and we will call on people through each stakeholder group. Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. My name is Jorge Quintero. I'm a union carpenter of Local 562 here in Long Beach. As you might realize by my name, I'm a Latino who took an opportunity with the Carpenters Union and started a career working in the refineries here for the last 17 years in Long Beach. I'm able to provide for my family with good union-paying jobs. I have benefits for myself and my family, and I'm looking to someday retire with a pension. And I have $0 in debt. And I would like to add that majority of my coworkers, all Latinos and African Americans. You know, yesterday we were out there in the city of Long Beach helping out the businesses that were affected, boarding up businesses. Many of these owners did not know how to do it, did not know what to do. We went out there and helped out because we can. You know what happens when we get rid of opportunities in our communities? Crime rises. Suicide rates go up. Mental health. It's all affected. We're not thinking about that. So I urge CalGEM to think about this when they go into the group process, in the process of making up these rules. You know, yeah, let's get rid of fossil fuels. But can we afford electric cars? How many cars do we all own? You know, they're expensive. You know, even at that, are we going to build tires out of solar power? Even the solar panels, they're made out of plastic parts. The clothing that you wear, the roof that those panels are installed, petroleum products. You know, you use shampoo, women, you use lipstick, petroleum. So just think about that. 90% of the products that you have in your home are made out of petroleum. So tonight when you're brushing your teeth, you know, with toothpaste, petroleum, think about it.
Thank you. Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, this is Ralph Combs with the Termo Company. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to reiterate some of the comments that have been made first by my colleague Christy Reed and others in my industry. I just want to highlight a few key points. Number one, local production is sustainable production. Pushing out the oil and gas industry via arbitrary setbacks will not benefit the environment and will in fact increase greenhouse gas emissions around the world. The science is clear on that. What the science is not clear on is, and we all have the access to the same emissions data that shows that minimal contribution of oil and gas operations to the complete mix of emissions in the state. Additionally, what green jobs advocates fail to mention is that their job counts include someone at the hardware store selling LED bulbs or temporary solar install jobs. This is not going to be sustainable or supportive for those workers that are currently in the oil and gas industry. Some speakers have brought up the pandemic, and one thing the pandemic has taught us is how essential it is that we control and manage our own resources and not be beholden to foreign suppliers. As a quick note about myself and my company, we have wells immediately adjacent to our office, and I personally live within a half mile of an oil field and 3/4 of a mile from our own wells. I have been around wells in the oil and gas industry my entire life. I'm extremely proud of the work I and my company do every day to help provide the essential energy that our great state and its people need to survive and thrive. And survive is not an exaggeration. Without oil and natural gas, our economy, food system.
Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open. Your phone may be set to mute.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Hello, my name is Dulce Arias, a youth climate organizer with Youth versus Apocalypse living in a lonely territory. And I truly sympathize with those who spoke before me, especially the ones about the workers and how they depend so much on this job. I truly do sympathize, but also, I'm also part of the low-income community. I'm Mexican. I'm an immigrant, and I know that there's some jobs that they're the only ones who could get. And I know that we're all here because we all care about the same thing, the well-being of our families today and in the future. We all recognize that fossil fuels, oil and gas infrastructure contribute the most to a global crisis that threatens all of us one way or another, but mostly Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Not only are these new oil and gas permits putting the lives of others under profit, but are also created with racism because constantly, if not all the time, oil and gas infrastructures are placed within a mile away from already marginalized communities, treating our communities as disposable. We cannot wait to go renewable in 2030 because our communities are literally being impacted by the oil and gas infrastructures in our everyday life. The governor himself, he said that he will guide and continue to guide with science. Well, the science behind the health impact of the chemicals and emissions from fossil fuel production on our bodies is clear. There is a growing scientific evidence that links how if you live near an oil and gas infrastructure, it will impact your health. Some of those impacts include cancer, premature mortality, asthma, and other respiratory illnesses. Over 5 million Californians live within 1 mile of an oil and gas well, and of those, 1/3 live in areas with the highest levels of pollution in the state. The same people impacted by oil.
Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Beth, and I'm 16 years old, and I'm also here with Youth versus Apocalypse. Really, I should be doing my online schooling, but instead I'm here, urging for fossil fuels to be kept in the ground. Living close to oil and gas leads to health issues such as asthma and health effects, but how ironic is it that oil and gas infrastructures are placed in low-income communities of color that already cannot afford health insurance when we're impacted. We demand for at least a 2,500-foot buffer zone between oil and gas and where people go about their daily lives to live, work, play, and more. Immediate action needs to be taken to protect not only myself, but my community and my future. I live in Richmond, where we have the Chevron refinery in my backyard. Guess what's also my backyard? Kaiser Permanente. But the very people in my community who have health issues because of the refinery can't even go to the hospital that's placed right here because we can't afford it. Please prioritize the health and safety of my community. Thank you.
Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Mario Salguero, and I am an environmental specialist at California Resources Corporation. I have worked in the oil and natural gas industry for 3 years. I am part of an essential workforce that is comprised of all backgrounds and all walks of life and reflects the power of California's diversity. My job is important to me because it is my duty to ensure the compliance with new and amended regulations from federal, state, and local agencies. The oil and gas industry in California is by far the most heavily regulated in the country and possibly even the world. I am proud to be part of a team that works closely with regulators and applies latest technologies to lower emissions to be a safe, efficient, responsible producer in California. CalGEM's public health and safety rulemaking matters to me because misguided decisions are a step in the wrong direction. Some of the proposed measures have the ability to impact first-generation families, such as mine, across California. CRC has given me the opportunity to bring a better life for my family. Eliminating jobs like mine will take away endless opportunities from working-class families and ultimately increase our dependency on imported energy. To protect the public health and safety, we must protect Californians' access to affordable, reliable energy and good-paying local jobs. Thank you.
line is open. Please go ahead.
Yes. This message is for Mr. Untuck. Thank you very much. My name is John Ullman. I work for the Sierra Club. I'm the director of the Los Padres chapter representing Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. We strongly support the 2,500-foot setback from oil and gas operations and places where people work, live, congregate. There should be no drilling through drinking water aquifers. There should be no new cyclic steam well drilling. We should place a hold on new permits in oil fields where the U.S. Geological Survey is studying groundwater quality until publication of the report and the data is released. Also, I'm very concerned about what's going on with these fracking permits. You authorized 25 of them already. Hundreds more are waiting, and this is all happening during COVID. And then we read that Governor Newsom, this is from KQED, Newsom kills proposal to add oil regulators even though industry would have paid. What's going on here? We need to strengthen these protections for our health, especially during COVID. Instead, we're lessening them, and this has to end right now. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Roman, please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Eric Roman. I am with the Stand LA Coalition and Physicians for Social Responsibility in Los Angeles. As Black folks and our allies are rising up around the country to defend Black lives, we're here to urge CalGEM and the state of California to challenge the long-standing racist practice of giving oil companies a free pass to poison working class communities of color by extracting oil and gas dangerously close to their homes and schools. Our coalition in LA is comprised of over 80 faith, labor, public health, medical, housing, and community organizations. We're committed to ending oil and gas production in neighborhoods, including through the establishment of a 2,500-foot human health and safety buffer between oil and gas wells and sensitive land uses. We appreciate CalGEM and the governor initiating this process and taking seriously our public input. Our leadership in our coalition has worked in South LA and in the harbor area for decades to create good jobs and equitable community development. We understand firsthand how hard it is for working class Black and Latino folks to find decent jobs, to keep food on the table, and a roof over their heads, especially in the middle of the pandemic. We also know that no community should have to choose between good jobs and clean air and water. It is frankly a racist choice that is meant to pit working class people against each other and only benefits oil executives. To be clear, it's also a racist choice for oil-impacted communities from Nigeria to Ecuador to Myanmar and many countries in the global south, where the oil executives run WISPA, make a hefty profit from importing oil into the U.S. while their companies violate human rights of local communities there. Instead, we are not calling for oil wells to be shut down from one day to the next, with workers getting nothing more than a pink slip. In fact, we're meeting with public officials at every level of government, urging them to make a plan for a managed decline of oil and gas production over many years. We're urging them to take real leadership to bring real funding to the table and to bring workers and unions to the table as well frontline communities. We have to create a plan that starts years in advance of any oil wells actually shutting down to ensure workers are guaranteed jobs in the fossil fuel cleanup or jobs with the same pay and better long-term prospects in other industries. Communities economically dependent on oil.
Hi, your line is open. Please go ahead. Mr. Snyder, your line is open.
Hi, am I on?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, hey, this is Chris Snyder. I'm with the Operating Engineers Local 3, and we represent members in Northern California that run cranes and do a lot of work at the refineries and in the industry. We literally take young men and women from all backgrounds and put them through apprenticeship programs and train them in these highly skilled jobs and give them careers that they can actually live with dignity and buy a house in their communities, send their kids to college, and when they retire, these are jobs that are rare with private sector pensions, and it would just be an absolute tragedy to kind of get rid of these things. There's a real balance here, and I'd like to go, we're on record as opposing AB 345, and, 60% of the folks in these men and women in these industries are minorities, and I mean, these jobs are just such a stepping stone into the middle class and a way to, uplift communities and families. And I've been in the labor movement a long time, and these are the kind of jobs that we fight for. And the oil and gas industry is probably definitely the most heavily privatized industry in the United States, and especially in California, where we have the highest environmental standards, the highest labor standards, and kind of set a tone for the rest of the industry. And shifting that to out of state or to overseas would just be an absolute tragedy in our estimation. So please do everything we can to support these jobs, especially in this time, because it is all about working families for us, and that's what we're here for. And I mean, we can have these other conversations about transition and whatnot, but these jobs are here, they're now, and it's there's a huge need for them. So.
Your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jan Dietrich. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thanks for the town hall. I own a business in the Ventura oil field, and I'm surrounded by several wells within a few hundred feet of my house and business. Two of my coworkers have lung problems, and we run HEPA filters, but we don't know what protective measures we need outside our buildings. As mentioned before, the herbicide use on over 50 acres surrounding us renders bare, dusty dirt beyond the advisable 100 feet defensible space around each structure, and this is a health risk to the oil field workers who don't wear any protection. Next, about mineral rights owners, I inherited myself part of an oil well, and I sold it a few months before that oil company went bankrupt. We each have the freedom of choice to put the health of living systems above our personal benefit. Monitoring is needed around massive flaring episodes around us associated with significant amounts of unburnt methane wrecking the climate. What are we breathing after those planned releases? And now we also want scenario planning in case of a potential rupture of pipelines due to earthquakes. We're over a very deep fault, as was mentioned. A carbon tax is needed as an effective fundamental driver of urgently needed transition. It should be transparently structured to achieve over $110 per ton by 2030. This will drive comprehensive, predictable transition. And then we need the 2,500-foot buffers to prioritize closing the wells nearest to human settlement, and then we need to close those inactive wells. It's puzzling to hear that good-paying jobs will be eliminated from stricter oil and gas regulations when there are so many inactive wells that have to be closed, and these are the people skilled to do it. Get those wells closed before earthquakes and extreme weather events create disasters in these declining fields. The ridgeline above Ventura has been brighter than during the Thomas Fire due to massive flaring. Fugitive unburnt methane drives immediate warming of the planet. Please require
Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Hi, this is Yvonne Martinez-Watson. I'm a resident city of Montebello, and today I'm just speaking. I have been dealing with adverse health effects from oil and gas industry since I was very young, starting with second grade. I am dealing with a brand new reality as of last year when I suffered 2 rounds of respiratory failure, and now I'm dealing with severe asthma. The current health guidelines around health protections around oil and gas wells, they're not strict enough. I spent my entire life living within a mile of oil and gas wells, and my health has been severely impacted. And we need to do something to protect the children, especially the ones who were on the phone today testifying before you. It's probably too late for me, but it's not too late for them. And if we don't do something to help now, there's going to be a whole new generation of people growing up with the same respiratory issues, the same health problems that people of my generation and others have suffered through. I'm hoping to submit written comments, but right now I just want to to say what I needed to say. I've been waiting on the phone this entire time to be able to speak. I was so looking forward to having CalGEM come to my city of Montebello for one of their meetings, because I thought at last someone's coming to my community, a community that is mostly people of color, mostly Latinx. I am Latinx, and I thought this was great. Finally, they come here and can see for themselves what's going on and can hear from the community. I was deeply disappointed when that meeting had to be canceled due to COVID. I'm not blaming you for it, but I'm letting you know these things are impacting people's lives. People are getting sick. People are being exposed to higher rates of pollution than they need to be, and we are the ones suffering the most right now. Thank you.
Thanks very much. You'll be able to take, I believe, 3 additional people before the before the end of our meeting. Line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Daryl Gale, and I live in Los Angeles, and I very intently listened to the first hearing and was baffled by how many people in the oil and gas industry are living in the past and see no alternatives. I am not an anti-oil activist. I am a pro-Clean Jobs California infrastructure activist. In April, we had 26 oil tankers just sitting off the coast of Long Beach and San Pedro with 20 million barrels of oil that nobody wanted and nobody know what to do with it or where to store it. And they just sat there for a while. Tom Steyer was appointed as the co-chairman of the new Economic Recovery Task Force. So put Tom Steyer to work. Talk to him about demanding programs to move and retrain all these oil and gas industry people and place them and create new jobs for them, high-paying new jobs, infrastructure, solar, wind, and battery storage jobs, fix our bridges, our roads, build affordable housing, clean up abandoned oil wells, and clean up and preserve wildfire areas. Use Tom Steyer. Don't complain about what is. Thank you.
Hi, please go ahead. Your line is open.
Good afternoon. My name is Marta Dinargue. I'm the Executive Director of Physicians for Social Responsibility Los Angeles and the co-chair of Standing Together Against Neighborhood Drilling. And we stand with both communities and workers. For that reason, we are calling for a 2,500-foot setback. And as the previous caller said, we can no longer wait. We must start the plan for a just transition strategy that puts workers and communities first and holds oil companies accountable. They have benefited from the labor of our brothers and sisters who have been testifying today, and it is on them to fund a direct payments and ongoing salary support when we move to a transition, which is not going to happen tomorrow. We need a managed decline. We must face the fact that this is a declining industry. It is disingenuous to say this is a safe industry because according to the Department of Labor Statistics and the CDC, it is one of the most dangerous jobs. I have worked on AB 32 and AB 617 and the SNAP regulatory process. All have failed to protect communities who are on the front lines of this oil extraction. We cannot treat our communities and our workers as sacrifice zones. The promise is of a new economy. There is more promise in the cleanup and the restructuring and the restoration of our communities so that we will not be more vulnerable to things like COVID-19 and the coming climate catastrophes that we will face if we do not act now.
Harvey, your line is open.
Hi. My name is Ann Harvey. I'm a family doctor and a member of Climate Health Now. As you move forward with your important increased emphasis on protecting the public from harm from fossil fuel extraction, I strongly recommend that you create a dedicated expert CalGEM health advisory group It should have representatives from local health departments, public health NGOs, independent research institutions, and organizations representing clinical health professionals and community health experts. Specifically, it could offer guidance in evaluating the health harms of chemicals used in oil and gas extraction, in interpreting the health implications of toxin levels for you and the public, in evaluating the health implications of new requests for permits, and in developing a better framework for understanding cumulative impacts. But in order for the Health Advisory Group to provide useful advice, it will need valid data, which in turn requires knowledge and effective monitoring of all toxic chemicals released during oil and gas extraction. This means no more trade secret excuse. Privately owned companies must be required to disclose the use, disposal, and known toxicities of all chemicals involved in all phases of their operations. This includes drilling, extraction, maintenance, odor control, and all other uses. And please actually go ahead and outlaw the use of toxic chemicals such as the endocrine-disrupting phthalates for the purpose of masking odors, which hides but compounds the injuries. Thank you for serving us and for listening.
Thank you very much. We are 2 past the hour, and I apologize. It looks like we need to end the meeting. Sarah?
Yes, let me get off speaker. So I'm so sorry if you were hoping to speak and we have run out of time. We are absolutely hoping to get to everybody today. I would like to reiterate that you can connect to us through email, through the poll, through the SurveyMonkey, whatever is convenient for you. We want to hear from you. We appreciate your patience. It is a very long time for those of you who stuck with us till the end. I am grateful for your time, and I especially want to do a mention to the woman from Montebello. We were so looking forward to going there, and we were so grateful for all the local help. You might have been part of that to secure that location and to organize that meeting. We were very eager to go not just to Montebello, but to South LA, to Long Beach, Oxnard we didn't get to go to, Coalinga, and then we were going to do one in Sacramento. So we're very disappointed we didn't get to do those, and I am absolutely hoping to visit your community when we can. Candace, thank you so much for a great meeting today. We appreciate everyone's input, and on behalf of Supervisor Intook, thank you, and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. You may now disconnect.